Hello, I'm Jonasz Rawiński and this is Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. Remember yesterday when we were talking about sanctions imposed by Washington on the Kremlin's propaganda channel Russia Today? Well, apparently that is just the tip of the iceberg. According to the US Department of Justice indictment, RT employees allegedly showered a number of American far-right pundits with cash. All that to promote pro-Kremlin narratives. Let's take a closer look at the whole situation and evidence from the investigation unearthed by CNN. Well, starting from the top, what does Russia Today's network of influence look like in the United States? Well, one of the key gateways was apparently Tenet Media. And you might have seen the content it was producing on YouTube or X. Launched back in 2023, Tenet Media is a media company that positions itself as, and I quote, a network of unorthodox commentators focusing on Western political and cultural issues. Yikes, you probably see where this is going, right? So, it has 6 commentators on the roster, each of whom has made a name for themselves in the conservative media ecosystem. And by saying conservative media, we really mean the more out there side of things, conspiracy theories, that sort of stuff. Though, with Trump recently accusing migrants of eating cats and ducks for breakfast, this stuff is really becoming kind of mainstream. Anyway, Tenet Media has an audience of more than 6 million subscribers on YouTube, but their influence extends far beyond the video platform. Tim Pool, one of the channel's commentators, repeatedly invited right-wing extremists to his show, and just this August, Tim could be seen screaming, and I quote, "Ukraine is the enemy of this country," during a live broadcast. Charming.
This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong, I know. You've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. Triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world.
Yeah, you've heard that. Reportedly, one unnamed social media star from the roster was paid $400,000 a month to produce videos for the platform, while another unnamed influencer was paid slightly less, $100,000. It is also said that Russian sponsors directly asked Tenet's co-founder on the 23rd of March to, and I quote, blame Ukraine and the United States for the terrorist attack on a concert hall near Moscow that killed more than 130 people. Other narratives promoted by Russian paid influencers were all designed to serve the Kremlin's goals, including fear-mongering about migrants and promoting the candidacy of Donald Trump. The US government is suspecting 2 RT employees, Konstantin Kalashnikov and Yelena Afanasyeva, of violating the law on the activities of foreign agents and involvement in conspiracy to launder money. According to the Department of Justice case files, the RT funneled nearly $10 million in secret funding to an online content creation company in just one state of Tennessee over at least the past year. And by that, they surely mean Tenet. By the way, Kalashnikov. I mean, if this was fiction, you'd probably say this sounds just too cliched. Unfortunately, it's all real. According to the indictment, Kalashnikov and Afanasyeva, pretending to be external editors, were directly involved with the workflow at Tenet Media. Kalashnikov monitored internal communications and edited content, and Afanasyeva, under the fake names Helena Shudra and Victoria Pesti, edited, hosted and managed publications and managed Tenet Media employees. In the wake of the indictment being released to the public, members of the Tenet Media roster denied any knowledge of the Russian funding behind the company and also quickly painted themselves as victims of the scheme, because it's always someone else, right? I suppose the definition of useful idiot just about covers this kind of stuff, as it suggests these people don't really know what they're doing, or at least they don't really have any sort of insight into who pays for the whole show. So whether someone keeps parroting Russian propaganda because of holding on to misguided worldviews, or simply to hear rubles go ka-ching, it ultimately matters little. Champagne corks keep popping at the Kremlin regardless. Sometimes it seems that the Russian government is just plain making fun of its own citizens. Recently, local government authorities in the Kursk region have been plastering the area with banners persuading military-aged men to enlist in the Russian army. But there is a little twist here. It turns out that the photo used for the banner actually depicts a Ukrainian soldier. The photo was taken during the evacuation of the city of Irpin in the Kiev region back in 2022. The blame for the mix-up was quickly pinned on a local official who received a stern reprimand. This, by the way, wasn't the first flop of this kind. Russia has previously been known to use images of a US aircraft carrier to promote its own military. And also, there was this thing with Johnny Depp being used in a picture of allegedly a Russian soldier. So, I mean, it's tradition, I guess. Now, Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico recently has called on the international community to condemn Ukraine for using Nazi symbols. He delivered the remark at a memorial for the victims of the Holocaust in the Slovak city of Sered. For some reason, Fico is strangely silent on the range of war crimes that Russia has committed in Ukraine.
Na jednej strane všetci hovoríme o fašizme, nacizme a pritom mlčky tolerujeme, že po Ukrajine pobehujú jednotky, ktoré majú úplne jasne označenie, ktoré je napojené na hnutia, ktoré považujeme dnes za nebezpečné a zakázané, ale keďže ide o geopolitický súboj, tak to nikomu nevadí. Dnes sa aj na Slovensku s veľkou ľahkosťou používa slovo fašista. Ako náhle máte nejaký iný názor, tak ste okamžite označení za fašistu, za krajnú pravicu. Preto za týchto okolností chcem zdať hold obetiam holokaustu a rasového násilia nie patetickou rečou, ale chcem vyzvať konečne ku činom. Medzinárodná spoločnosť by mala uznať, že nemôžu bojovať na Ukrajine jednotky, ktoré používajú nacistické označenia, ktoré sa často tak podľa všetkého aj správajú.
You know, this whole Nazi thing is a really tired trope by now. Fico, along with Viktor Orban, are outliers among EU leaders, preferring to repeat Moscow's talking points ad nauseum rather than provide any sort of useful support to Kiev. Out of the two countries, Russia and Ukraine, which one sounds more like Nazi Germany to you, by the way? One is a relentless aggressor that keeps killing civilians, and the other is defending its sovereignty and peaceful future. Spoiler alert, Nazi Germany sure as hell wasn't the one defending itself against unjustified aggression. Also, the neo-Nazi mercenaries from the Kremlin-tied Rusich group are apparently teaming up with the Russian FSB to patrol the Finnish border. But Mr. Fico keeps babbling on about Ukrainian Nazis. Make of that what you will. Any of you remember the feeling of driving this new, shiny car for the very first time? You remember the comfort and the sense of independence. Well, does it feel that way in Russia too, you may ask? Well, let's find out.
Час назад купили «Газель», новую, абсолютно, вот пробег. Новая машина. Купили, час на ней проехали. Перестала первая передача включаться. Звоним в салон, говорят, пригоните, наверное, кулису надо подкрутить. Ёбаный ваш рот, блядь. ВАЗ, ГАЗ, ПАЗ, ЗАЗ, МАЗ, КРАС. Вы заебали народ, блядь. Сделайте нормально машины, блядь, пидорасы.
So in the video, a Russian driver complains that a Russian-made car broke down an hour after he bought it. That feels on brand, doesn't it? Dear anonymous Russian driver, maybe try to find the silver lining in the situation. You were the proud owner of a new car for 1 hour. Isn't that like quite the accomplishment for Russian manufacturing? And with this, we complete this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.